kidding. I'm giving you a hard time. So Stephanie's not going to be here, but we kind of left the last meeting. We had talked with MRB, and I just never really had a sense that we were all on the same page. So I thought before we went on to make any sort of presentation to the town board, we ought to all be on the same page. So I don't know. I guess I kind of got the feeling from MRB that they presented their plan and it didn't seem like it was our plan, that this is what any of our questions almost seem to be like, oh no, this is good, we're okay. But I don't know. I don't have a good feel for this plan. So I don't know if any others have any thoughts along those lines, or.
I'm very concerned about the additional camping spaces, overnight spaces.
The tent camping?
Well,
Is it?
this effectively adds like, what do we think, 26 overnight sites that if they get booked, I mean, that's a whole, at least, in my opinion, 2 people. Minimum. And I'm also, I believe, I like and feel that the Uplands is a hiking venue, not so much a camping venue, not so much any other kind of, it should be a backwoods kind of hiking experience. It's very hard to get that in where we are right now. To drive 25 minutes from Rochester and to be able to be in the woods and have a nice hiking experience, see a waterfall, a relatively easy hike. Not terribly difficult. That's my feeling. It seems to be to me to be a lot.
Yeah, I agree with Randy.
My comeback to that would be that those camping sites are not really going to affect any kind of hiking that you're going to do.
Can you turn him up?
They're well below the hiking trails.
I get that, Dave. I just don't know that. I mean, I have a different opinion than what MRB stated as far as those being family-run sites. I think those are going to be more younger people sites with music and shenanigans, and that's my opinion.
I don't argue with you, but I would say that's in our control.
Okay.
I mean, how much loud music is played down on the lakeside?
Hardly any.
Yeah.
It's in a more exposed area.
It's in a much more exposed area. And these are, I just feel that you're going to get, I mean, I think you're going to get not families up there as much as you're going to get younger people enjoying themselves.
I disagree with that. I think this plan is very similar to Ontario County Park. And if you set down rules, they have a lot of tent camping. They also have hiking trails, but there still is the hiking trail along the back there. But where I don't have a problem with it, because I think if you vary the size of the camping elements, you'll get families and all different kinds. But I see if you have a full Uplands park, you need a park ranger there in the evening.
Yeah, that's a staff.
You would need
Team.
staff there, yeah.
Yeah, you absolutely are going to have staff there, a team there to staff that.
Now, I can tell you that my son lived in the caretaker house at Ontario County Park when they fired the caretaker. And he had an agreement with the county that he had to be there on the weekend nights, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights after 8 o'clock in the evening to take over so that they had coverage through the night.
Mhm.
And I think in the 4 years he lived there, I think once he had a problem, only once with loud music.
Well, I mean, I know that, well, we have some neighbor issues and now, with that part
Yeah.
of the park. I'm concerned that we are really adding a lot of overnight camping to what we currently have. And I
So-
know,
so maybe what we should do is let's go to some things that we agree on and then pick this apart later. Like, does everyone agree that we need to have some kind of access road to where those campsites would be, even if we don't put those campsites in?
I don't.
you mean the loop?
The loop.
I'm not saying the loop to start, but
You-
I we need a road up there somehow.
Up to the parking area there, right?
Right. I
Where-
mean, just to access cabins.
Where did we have that meeting? Where's the cabin that we had that
Yeah,
meeting?
that's right
Oh,
here.
wait a minute.
That's,
Let's look out.
Why
That's
can't,
where I think we need a road. To
why
that.
can't you phase in camping and then start with, 7 sites and have a phase 1, 2, 3 for camping and see how it goes. If it doesn't go, it wouldn't take much to close it down and you haven't invested in the rest of it yet.
Well, I guess I understand what you're saying, and I understand what you're saying, Dave, but I guess I do agree with one thing you're saying, Dave. I think we do need to come to a consensus of, as a group, is this something that we want? This large scale, even, I mean, what do we want? I mean, MRB presented this. And when they presented it, they had they stated that you can have as much of it or as little of it as you want. You decide.
Yeah.
And so
Or you could phase it.
Well, it would
Oh, right.
definitely have to be
Years.
done in phases,
It's
no
gonna-
matter
yeah.
what. This is a 5 to 10 year project
Yeah.
Or
realistically.
more, yeah.
I have a concern. I'm worried also. And yes, we could say that we're phasing that loop in later, but I'm worried about people looking and seeing those campsites and right away saying no to this. I think it's too much to begin. I honestly I don't think the nature of Ononda Uplands is a camp area with 14 tents. When MRB said some tent sites, I was thinking like 4. I wasn't thinking, 14 tent sites.
But that's our control. I mean, say 4 tent sites. You know what I mean?
I don't want to show it on the map then.
No, I don't disagree with you. I think they're going to draw whatever we say we want. You know, I mean, that if that's our recommendation and they present this, if we recommend 4 campsites and they present a thing with 26, I think the town board will just shoot it down.
I think the roads are, I'm personally opposed to paving and putting roads up there. I hate the thought of seeing bulldozers come through, taking out trees. All of the infrastructure, you've got to put a wide swath through the woods to build all this. And it just seems like very destructive. I think if you want to get more accessibility to some of these things, maybe we bring those down to the lower parking lot area. And put, pavilions down there where we can already access them, or create short roads, but to see bulldozers running in there and creating paved roads would not sit well, I don't think, with the community.
So where we had the meeting, that there's not a road up there now.
There is.
Well, there's
But it's very steep.
very
It goes from
steep, yeah.
Here, right to here.
Yep.
And there's really no parking for
Yeah,
anyone who
Right.
is using that.
there's not a current cabin where that secondary road goes up above that.
Right up here.
Yeah,
So all our current cabins are situated right in this strip here.
Where are those 3 cabins that are in really rough shape? Are those on that? Is that? See, that was another thing with the map is I didn't feel like we got a good look at what was there. And I felt like it was almost like we ignored everything else that was there with this map. I took a walk up there shortly after our meeting and, the pavilions up there are in pretty nice shape.
Yeah.
And it's,
They're not used.
right,
which is
right.
why.
I think we need better accessibility. I don't think it's as bad as I mean, I walked over to the pavilion. I know there, you know,
So Mark, what's your recommendation for accessibility to the existing cabins then?
I don't know if you could do it any other way without that one loop. that
Right.
Goes up. If, and again, without seeing where those other cabins are, I don't know if that's.
Right there, right?
It's hard to see it in relation. Where are those three cabins that are in? Are they not even on this map? What are the three that are?
I think everything brown proposed.
Say that again, Dave?
Everything brown is proposed, that there's no
Right.
existing on that.
Right.
So the three, you can't, they're not depicted on here, but they're.
Right.
They're in that proposed area.
The current ones are
Yeah.
situated, yeah, but aligned like this, 1, 2.
I didn't have a huge problem with that upper road. I didn't think, when I walked up there, I didn't think it was as bad as I pictured it looking at the map.
Well, I think it, to me, it's what is on the northern side of where that road is going up. When you go from the parking lot, that's the area where you're going to be going through some wooded land. So when you go to that, right, yeah, right there, and you go up, that's the area where you're gonna be going up. And that's a trail now, right? That's part,
Yep.
Yeah.
part of the
white
trail
line
right
is
now.
our existing trail, so it
Yeah.
will intersect a little bit, but that's not uncommon in some
Yeah,
campgrounds, you
yeah.
know.
Why couldn't the road go across the open space? Why does it have to go through the woods?
There's leach fields.
Mhm.
and.
I think
You
And
can't-
it's steep.
Yeah, and you can't have.
And then
it's
we're
the
talking
grade.
You think in here or
Sledding hill.
Yeah.
in here or?
Across the- Yeah, to get up to the cabins.
It would be going
Separate.
across the sledding hill also.
Yeah, and I think there's water
Over there.
leach fields there, and I think they're reserving that for putting new ones in if, other things work out. I mean, we have to do something to the existing even if we don't add anything else.
In my mind, there's 4 cabins there that have to be replaced. Would you say that
Yeah,
those 3,
there's a few that we can sit,
that
we
Latani
can
or
sit- Latani
what's,
is just, yeah,
I mean, that one's
that's the only one that's
unsafe.
done. We're not even.
So
opening
that
it.
really just leaves, I think, 2 cabins along
they-
there that are really rentable or not.
I think
But they could also be moved. They don't. have
Nah,
to be in that
the
same area.
ones that are,
No, the ones you're gonna replace don't have to be in that same.
oh, no, but that's kind of the spot I would say for cabins. Again, it doesn't show up well. That's that open field up there.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, so see, there's a road that goes up to that red line, right? That's a road that goes up to that pavilion now.
Yes,
Correct. That's
Yes.
the
Okay, why abandon that?
It's too,
It's really steep.
Too steep for cars? Because there was cars up there when we were.
it's very steep for accessibility. If someone's gonna try to walk up there or use some kind of mobility device,
Yeah.
it's not ideal. So this is the original road and the original loop that is currently there. Which then the 3 cabins, like I said, are, oh, he did put them in. So the 3 cabins that are currently there are the east one. 1, 2, 3.
Is that a different?
Yeah, that's that, I think I had him send me the separate.
Oh, okay,
Sorry, no, sorry, it's on this, you can't, it's hard to see.
okay.
Second page. Right there.
I don't know, I do think we need to do something better with the roads. I know another thing, and I don't know if this came up in our meeting is. I know there is gonna be major work done on that that lower parking lot because something's caving in down there anyway,
The retaining wall.
okay. But
And eventually, we're gonna have to do something about some kind of septic or, bathroom facilities. I mean, I'm sure none of them meet ADA.
No, I mean, currently you have to walk across the grass to get to the washroom.
are there showers in there or just restrooms?
The ones up there are just restrooms.
Okay,
Lakeside, we have showers. So I mean, I think what we need to just kind of go through is, the things that we like about this and then what we don't, for them to come back with a different plan. We still have to have, I mean, there's so many steps before it's like, this is final, like we're probably gonna go through many of these
Right,
Yeah,
before it gets finalized, because we don't even know cost. We haven't had a public meeting yet
Right.
for input from the community.
well, I don't think we're at a point where I'm comfortable talking to the public, but
so how often are those rented up there now?
They're not,
They're not at all.
like.
A lot of that's
once or-
condition.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And
Lakeside though is booked out through our peak, like July. Last year we had 100% occupancy.
but there's a couple up there that are definitely rentable,
Oh, yes, yeah.
but they don't get rented.
Not frequently, unless there's a huge family group staying and they rent out all of Onondaga.
So I guess that's the question I have is, if they're not being rented now and they're perfectly rentable cabins, why are we gonna try to get so many more when we're having trouble renting the 2 or 3 that we have that are
But I
rentable?
think we're having trouble renting them because of their location. You
Yeah.
can't even get your car near it to get your stuff into it. And honestly,
there's no
they're,
showers.
yeah,
well, but no, see, I disagree with it. I mean, Lime Kiln Campground, you have to get in your car. There's a full camping loop on the backside that everybody stays at and they drive their cars.
For a shower.
I mean, a lot of people that camp are used to driving their cars to get to a shower. So
If you're a
if
camper,
there's a
yes.
bathroom there,
There's a
I mean,
Yeah, but there's no, she just said there's no showers
Right.
in the bathroom, right?
right. But
So
they,
they drive somewhere else to get a shower, take a.
yeah, to the other side of the street. So, but I mean, that's not uncommon in a campground throughout the Adirondacks.
So we're thinking, there's a thought that we're not getting those rented out because of the
I
lack
think the
of
condition and the
the
accessibility
Yeah.
accessibility.
plays a big,
Yeah.
big factor in that.
None of those are new though. None of those are very updated.
They're
They're-
not updated.
Didn't they do a lot of work on one of them?
The one with the deck,
I can't pronounce any of the names, so I'm not gonna try.
hang on, I'll go onto our website. I think this is not my computer though, because I have all of that saved. On my laptop.
Are we in agreement that we don't want to see a big upper tent loop or no?
I think if you're going to propose it. I have no problem with the tents, but I agree with you that we should focus on the cabins. So I think we would present something with this blank and say for future expansion.
Without
If
showing a road,
necessary.
without showing,
Without showing anything, just for future expansion if necessary. Because if you have cabins that are compelling and people are interested in renting them, you might have 110% occupancy like on the lower level.
Okay,
Alright.
so this is, the exterior was updated with the newer deck.
okay,
It does need to be restained and some
Yeah.
additional work, but this is what the insides look like.
Ooh,
They're disgusting.
they are.
but I mean, but that's a cabin that,
kind of-
I guess when I was
Down below.
thinking
I think.
improvements to the uplands, my thought of the improvements was go into that cabin and improve the interior of that one, because that one looks pretty good from the outside. A couple of the other ones look awful from the outside and they're awful on the inside and they're falling down. I don't even know if are the pictures even on there, right? Those 3 cabins right there.
From far away.
I mean, those 3 are awful.
Yeah,
Oh, if
They're
I
rot-
want, if
What-
I want to rent the cabins, I can go online and see those pictures you just showed. Lindsay,
Maybe that's why people aren't renting them.
Yeah, that's correct.
So
Yeah,
what is-
So-
That
so I think that tells the story why they're not rented.
Okay, but hey ho, that's on the bottom, right?
Yeah,
That's lakeside.
lakeside.
So what are the,
Oh.
what does that look like inside?
Just open stuff wrong.
That's pretty rustic also.
Yeah.
Correct. That's kind of my
But
point.
yeah,
It's in much better. I mean,
much
it's
Yeah.
better
just in
shape,
much
yeah.
better shape.
Yeah, you can definitely see the difference.
But I don't think there's anything to say that we can't invest in helping. I mean, those 3 cabins, they are not able to be fixed. That's already been
Absolutely.
determined. But the other 2, we absolutely can.
Right.
We
I
don't have
would
to
tr-
move them or change them.
Yeah, I
We
just
can
wanna-
update them.
I guess and Doug's mentioned improving the upland several times. I guess in my mind, I thought we're gonna improve the accessibility somehow. We're gonna fix up the cabins worth fixing up.
We have had
and-
money set aside for a new
at
cabin
least-
to
right.
replace Latani, because
Right.
that was the thought process there, was
Yeah.
to replace.
And then, we would maybe replace the other worn down ones. And maybe there'd be a
over
spot.
time. I mean, it's
Right,
very
and maybe
costly.
there'd be a spot for one more prefab. I honestly wasn't looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14 prefab cabins, and I don't know
I
if
think
that,
we came up with that from like our initial
Yeah.
meeting at King Hall with like what the ultimate wish list would be.
Right.
This is the ultimate
right.
wish
I
list
don't-
on what we're capable of doing, not what we have to do or what even.
I'm not comfortable that part of that town park is right to be a campground. I go back to that. It's one thing to serve the needs of 7 cabins and maybe 3 or 4 tent sites. All of a sudden, and again, I know that it's proposed and it doesn't have to happen, but I was at Ononda on a day when no one was staying in the cabins and there were 25 people hiking the trails. So all of a sudden on a nice day, you kind of lose some of the luster of those trails if all of a sudden there's another 80 people that are camping and on the trails and.
So I'm gonna play devil's advocate, and I honestly, I don't care what we do with this
Yeah.
plan, I'll execute whatever the committee wants me to. But there's been a lot of talk, at least the past year that I've been here, that our parks are underutilized, so we want to encourage the utilization and have a busy park.
I'm not sold. I'm not sold that all the people that said we were underutilized were saying that
Yeah, I'm not either.
for the right reasons or
Yeah.
truthfully.
But I hear it all the time.
So
And I know we're
then
doing
we
our due
need-
diligence to
right.
show that they obviously are
Right.
utilized. I know we're doing our part with that.
That's gonna be the argument you get when you present this.
But I think,
Utilization of the parks. And.
And I don't disagree.
No.
I mean, I don't disagree on either side of that. I mean, if we're afraid that's gonna be too big, that's okay. I mean, this is gonna, like I said, 5 to 10 year plan versus this is all happening right now. Oh my God, if this happened over summer, we would not be prepared or ready. But it is something I do feel that we could phase, whether we add a couple cabins this year or even 1 cabin.
So
truthfully this year.
you said Latani is the one that absolutely.
it's
you've
falling
already
off
got-
the blocks.
And you
And I
have
have money
funds.
for it. I do.
Okay.
Yeah. to
So
replace
my
it.
question on that one would be,
Yeah.
could we get it somewhere now
Yes,
that's accessible?
yes.
So then we could say,
Yes.
To the
okay,
current infrastructure.
how much is this
Yes.
utilized? Now, this is a brand new cabin utilized it's got accessibility by the road. How much is it
Is it
getting?
being rented?
Is it being rented?
I'll go you one better. Why don't we find some spots off the current road or parking lot that we could put a couple of campsites in? That's
Oh, like
pretty
tent-
low
like
cost
Tent-
to
tent
test the
sites?
waters, yeah,
To see if there's an interest.
Well,
yeah.
in my thought with that had been. Could you go to Encore and just look at the,
It's not a bad idea.
Encore's easy.
Just test it, see if there's any
If you
interest.
can- if you can get,
It's low cost,
Yeah, whether they have a slab and,
a couple cinder blocks in
Yeah.
a grid. Yeah, put something down here.
just so you can see.
Yeah.
How much they can use.
Too far out.
Yep.
keep going. Oh, we went too far. There's Coy Road, a little further, a little more north. Hey, we gotta go another mile maybe up through.
It's gonna travel longer.
There we go, getting close.
No.
A little more. Little more.
Right there is
There
Campbell's.
you go.
There we
Yeah.
go. Do we
So,
want- we want
so
to-
zoom out, yeah.
A little bit.
So you can see just barely the tops of those 3 cabins right there.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I mean, I guess my original vision when we talked about a couple of campsites was maybe a few platforms right off the edge of that grass field tucked in there. And again, I'm not exactly sure where that shows up on this other map, but. I don't know, I still think there needs to be something with a better. I think if it's a little easier to get to those pavilions and things across that top somehow. I think they would be utilized more.
Well, and I concur with Dan here. If we can get, if we're gonna do that new cabin this year. And we have the money for it, let's get it someplace that's accessible now by vehicle. And maybe 2 campsites that are accessible, not far off the parking lot, and see how much those are utilized.
Yeah, I think we should tell them, number one, the things we want to keep and that we're going to upgrade. Number 2, exactly what you're saying, an fully accessible cabin. And so, and where are the restrooms now?
Well, I mean, that is kind of an issue, is that they're way across over on the other,
Yeah, they're,
they're hard to get to. You gotta walk off, yeah, it might be that building or the one up above it.
Okay, so
it's enough
Okay.
terrain.
access to the restrooms, so those would be the key things. You've got to figure out 5 key things that you want and have them come up with drawings that reflect those key things. And then just the rest of it says for future planning, subject to future planning, you know.
But access to those restrooms doesn't mean it has to be a drivable road. That could be.
Could be a sidewalk.
Yeah, stone dust. I mean, something.
It can,
I
it
don't know
cannot
if it can
be an asphalt sidewalk like they've put on Middle Cheshire Road. Those are not accessible. I can tell you
I know.
what's accessible, what's not.
Is it too narrow?
And I'm,
No, it's not too narrow.
I can walk.
It's
It's uneven.
It's very uneven. It's totally, yeah. And that is a hilly terrain for sure. I always like to update things. But that just, and again, and I know it's not gonna happen immediately, but that was really kind of overwhelming. It's like, holy cow. Man, we just turned that whole hillside into, campsite.
Campground.
That's a lot of, campgrounds are a lot of work.
Well, I mean, looking at it, I think after talking with Tom, the engineer,
Mhm.
the only way to get any kind of road up there at a proper grade, we
Yeah.
would have to cut into here.
That I do understand that part.
And I do feel, obviously, using the existing King Hall, which we all spent time in, I mean, it has gorgeous views. It
Mhm.
does need
Yes.
to be updated on the inside, 100%. So I do think having that little parking lot there for any events happening at King Hall would be essential.
But updating the inside is not nearly as expensive as getting a brand new prefab
Not at
cabin.
all, not at all.
I mean, if we're talking, in the one we talked about earlier, you showed earlier,
Mhm.
that's up there. Again, the outside of that was beautiful, big deck.
Yes.
I mean, if you stay on the outside and then,
Honestly, be
if there's-
very easy for us and inexpensive to do like the locking I don't know what it's called, I don't know, board and batten,
Yeah.
that's what,
Yeah.
for the inside.
Yeah.
And that would just,
It's a flat, yeah.
yeah.
Just,
How far away is that cabin from road access?
Now, yeah.
It's,
a
you
bit.
don't have access, it's not.
Right. Right, so,
you mean the ones that look not, the
one that
the
looks
one with the
nice.
nice deck?
yes, way
It-
over.
And that's right, and it's walking across the side hill to get over.
Just-
Is that the pavilion below it right there? Yeah,
Carrying all your stuff across there.
right.
People aren't gonna do it.
So let me ask this. So look at the proposed lower road,
Which is to that pavilion, right?
which goes out in
To that
behind
wall.
King Hall.
Yeah.
So what's, that's a pavilion. If you keep driving past King Hall, that's a pavilion right there, right? So are there any options to extend that road across above that pavilion and then access to the pavilion and drive closer over here? Because that doesn't, the sledding hill is down below that pavilion, really, right? So
Right,
it's not like a road above that pavilion. So do you make a road that comes up, services King Hall, services that pavilion, but then also maybe comes out and has, you know, some parking
Kind of goes behind,
behind
Yeah,
or
across the top.
come
across the top of the hill.
come down into your left, like across the hill sideways, head kind of southwest. Yeah, and maybe somehow come down there without having to go way up into the woods with,
I'll bet that grade's too steep.
Well, they have it there now.
Well,
No, are you talking about the road they're proposing?
Oh,
I'm talking about extending the road that goes behind King Hall.
yeah, so parallel to the one.
That's
there.
the pink road.
No. The proposed road. So-
Okay, yeah,
So take that road, it goes behind King Hall right now. Keep going a little bit uphill. No, not even more right behind. Keep going straight right across that pavilion that's there. That's where the arrow goes to the view sled. See,
Need a pointer.
so this coming behind King Hall. And there's a pavilion, maybe a road with some parking over in here.
Yeah,
So that's not going
because
all the way up through here. Again, I don't know what the
Yeah.
terrain is like to get
My-
across. there.
that you've got utilities there and that's too steep. Like
Go-
how are you gonna? There, I think they've drawn the road in the least expensive, easiest place to put it.
Yeah, I do too.
well, aren't you getting you're gaining your grade from the first loop from the parking lot
Yeah.
up to that level?
yeah,
I thought the rest of it would be just to cross the hill.
that's pretty much the same grade there, I would think. Because you're
If-
going,
That if I'm understanding what you're proposing, that pink road that goes up to King Hall now, that's straight up.
we're not talking, no, we're not proposing
No,
that
no.
one.
Make the loop out of the top of the far corner of the parking lot. The new road that goes out of the far corner, like where the trail goes in. Loop up and then
Behind King
continue a
Hall,
road behind King Hall. Across the side hill there,
over
or
behind-
maybe not even up that far.
You might be crossing the steepest part of that hill by that line you just drew.
I think the steeper part is down below
the-
below that pavilion.
Boy,
thought-
every time I've walked up that road, I'm like, you get close to King Hall and it's steep.
So it's flatter here, obviously,
Yeah.
three cabins,
Yeah.
it is very steep behind Latani,
Tell you,
that is very steep.
we have a topographic map.
So where are we at? I think really what bothers me the most are all those tent sites in that whole loop.
Well, what if we take that?
So
I'd be happier, but I'm one of 6.
are we in agreement?
So,
that-
so I think we're charged with putting a plan together to what modifications will be made to Ononda Uplands that the public would like, and then there's a public hearing.
Correct.
So anything we do, I mean, if we don't put campsites in there now, there's never going to be campsites. And if that's what everyone wants, that's the way it goes. But if we don't propose them now, I don't think they're going to spend another $70,000, whatever the study costs, to do it again.
Well, one of the things you can do to present it to the public is take Randy's suggestion and have a couple of campsites. And then you might get, wow, what are those campsites? Well, why aren't there more? And
Yeah.
then that's when you hear it. Well, there's room for more if we expand, you know.
Right.
If you have that little road feeding King Hall, see those 3 brown blocks there? Why can't you make those campsites?
Good.
You know, initially, you can replace them later with cabins if you want, but that would be a spot.
You could, but and remember, if it's high traffic and it's successful renting out cabins, you really want them pretty close to the road.
That would be.
Agreed.
So where are you going to have the road? You're going to redo the road and go up around back there, right?
So, yeah, north
And
of
then
the-
come down across there, and that's going to be the road. And how are you going to get to these cabins over here?
Well, those aren't cabins yet.
Yeah.
Those are, I mean, maybe they're,
So realistically, our current cabins, we're never going to be able to have a road to them.
So
That would
where-
be
Where are the current cabins?
over here.
Right.
So we could still keep them, maybe update them, but
That's
that
what I'm
would appeal
asking.
to a different type of
That's right.
camper
Okay,
while still having accessible options.
Yep.
Would be my
okay,
suggestion,
so you're gonna put 3 new cabins over there.
or wherever we want, or one cabin,
Yeah.
or no cabins. But the idea would be that's a good location for them if that's what we wanted, because of the
So-
road.
So what if you did one cabin that we seem to have money for and 2 campsites right there?
One cabin,
Yeah.
campsite.
Yeah,
Why- That could be phase 1,
What-
honestly.
well,
That-
That's,
so let me ask and maybe I'm caught up with the brown squares and the green tents, and how about rather than put 3 cabins there, maybe make an oval that's shaded a different color and say, and just call it a possible location?
Like camp, just.
Yeah.
Camp location.
Or I don't even know what the right
Camping
word.
location.
cabin/camp location.
Yeah, cabin
Yeah.
slash.
I-
tent location.
Again, I'm picturing sitting in there at a public meeting with people looking at, they're gonna nitpick every one of those little brown cabins and they're gonna count like I did. And they're gonna say, you want 1, 2, 3,
Right.
you know,
That's a good point.
but if there's a shaded area that gives us the flexibility later, maybe that is 3, maybe it's 2, maybe it's 5.
Yeah,
but this plan might be over the next 20 years.
Right.
Right.
That's why I think the plan, I think the big thing is the road.
yes.
The big
Right.
thing.
The
road, and that's
accessibility.
what we should, and we should keep in mind, it might have to be extended further. But, concentrate on this part, this would be part 1. But the road would still have to, you would have to show it's going to extend part 2, and then if people want tents, you have a place for them.
So it would be something like where those 3 brown spots are now, just a rectangle saying.
Yeah.
Proposed overnight camping area.
For future,
You can always do phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. Maybe phase 4 is campsites there. And then the public looks at it and says, I don't want campsites there. Then phase 4 is gone. I think we want to put things in silos for people to like or dislike. You know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't want to put all 26 campsites in any proposal that we put forward. So I would want to have that separate.
So Dave, you would prefer to see it like in an overlay for phases, so
Yeah.
your.
Yeah.
concept for phase 1, 2,
Right.
3.
So,
Here's the
Right.
total.
Right,
So-
but I think we have to present the whole thing, but it might be years down the road and the public might come in and say, we don't want campsites there. We want to hike.
so take that whole loop and make that a future expansion or,
Or just like, just phase it, like say it's phase 4. You know what I mean? So that people, the town board can say no, the public can say no. You know what I'm saying? Or yes,
Or TBD.
right.
So that loop right now, looking at, when we looked at Encore, that's that.
I think we have to propose the overall scope of the plan. In other words, this is a long-range plan that we're looking at doing this and then get public input into it. And they might just, I mean, the public might say, I don't want that, you know, and then it's easy.
The loop where the campsites are is what I'm talking. That's where the.
Yeah.
that's woods.
So how
That's where
long
the-
have you guys been going to town board meetings? Have you ever seen a public hearing at a town board meeting?
Well, I
that
think
had
it-
more than 5 people there? Oh, yeah, I've
No.
seen
Yes.
one, but it was
What
pretty.
Tom said though is that none of those pines would have to get taken
Yeah,
down.
yeah, I'm getting my.
But something's gonna have to be taken down to put a road through there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still, Dave, I still struggle with the fact. I don't know if I'm comfortable even ever saying that there's gonna be that much camping at Onondaga.
You don't have to. All you have to do is say phase 4, TBD. We don't know what we're gonna do. We
Or
might have
no,
to-
see, I disagree. I think we say phase 4 campsites. I wouldn't put a number on it.
But it could be something else. It could be a fantastic playground.
So-
Or it could be winter activities or
So
something.
maybe that whole area then is an area just labeled as
Expansion.
Future
uh,
expansion.
future expansion or possibility for future expansion.
development, Yeah. So phase 1 would just be the road, the new road up out of the parking lot and then down to the Kingdom Hall. And that's phase 1.
And then phase 2
Would be the
would be
second.
up to here. And then really it would be phase 3 to do the loop.
If we presented this whole thing like this, I'm with you, to the community, I think that we get a lot of negative.
I-
feedback.
But
My
I
wife,
think-
when I showed it to my
think
wife, I got
feedback
negative
on it
feedback.
would be
You're gonna get,
fine.
you're gonna get those neighbors. I can tell you that right now.
Well, and that's the other
You're gonna get
other
those
piece
neighbors.
of this.
That's an
I-
issue.
You know, my son said, he goes, oh my God, Dad, and must be he wasn't as loud as he thought because your son didn't kick him out of the campground over there. He goes, Dad, he goes, those tenning sites he goes, that's where we all,
This was a long time ago. It was 20
Dad,
years
that's where
ago.
all the kids go
How
to,
old's your
to
son?
23.
Okay, this was 20 years ago.
He goes, that's
wasn't
where all
playing
the
loud
kids-
music when he
All
was
the kids
3.
go there to hide in the woods and drink underage.
In Ontario.
Yeah,
Yep.
the tent sites that are back in the
Yeah,
woods.
back in the woods,
And,
yeah.
and that's in the middle of nowhere. I mean, how far do you have to go out of Ontario County Park to hit a house? We've got Dennis Money sitting in a tree stand, you know, and we have the Brenoviches, you know, now we've got these people crossing again onto their land. We're adding that many more people that are looking for something to do every day that they're there rather than our group of hikers.
Are we okay with the road, the access roads?
I am.
I am too.
I am the first one.
Yes.
We have to have it to Kingdom Hall. That very first short loop.
Well, I think that also gives opportunity, right, to put a new cabin or one tent site.
Yeah,
Or
it
2
does.
tent sites up there, while still providing accessibility to an existing structure that we have that is nice.
Because that secondary road, the other post road up higher,
Mhm.
there's nothing that's up there right now, correct?
Just a pavilion, I
Yeah.
mean, we have a pavilion.
That is a pavilion. I thought the pavilion was a little lower than that.
Well, that's Latani, the actual pavilion's up here.
Is it, or is it on that? It's, see the arrow on the white
Right here.
view shed and sledding zone?
That's Latani.
Oh, I was thinking that was that pavilion.
No, the pavilion's up.
Where's the?
Can you click back on that other map that,
Yeah.
with the,
Right here.
Oh,
oh, okay, yeah.
Okay.
I honestly think that you should just, I don't even think you can do this in phases. I think you need to show that just the one phase and
So I think we all agree though, it's a lot, right? This looks like a lot.
yes.
on
And
paper. So we scale back.
we, more than that, this is 2022. We have some young people here. Yeah, not really young. but-
I'm glad you called me
Barely,
young.
you're a young person. We have an old person here. I'm not going to be here, when this is done. Who are we to determine what the youth is going to want 5 years, 7 years, 10 years from now? We can't do it.
But if we don't do it, who's going to do it?
The
You know,
next person,
I don't think they're building fewer campsites like in the Adirondacks. They're always trying to expand that stuff. The desire for people to get out and be at one. I mean, if you live in downtown Rochester or wherever, you that's a nice spot. That's the country to you. So I don't think we can say we're not going to do it because we don't know what people want. I think we have to think this is what people like and how do we enhance the things that we have.
No, this is what people like now.
But Dave, I guess I'm just not ready to say that this area of the uplands at Ononda is fit for a campground.
Mark, I'm not arguing with you on that, but I think if we don't propose things now, then it's never going to happen. If that's what the committee wants, I think that's fine. I'm not good with that, but I understand it.
Let me go back to,
They're not going to come back and spend another. Lindsay, what's this study cost?
A couple thousand.
A couple of thousand.
so, but this plan came out of the meeting we had at King Home.
Correct. Yep.
And that was not just a few of us. There was a lot of people
A lot of
there.
people there, right.
There was a lot of people there.
So
Right.
The key thing that came out of that meeting was a multi-use campground. And I do think Tom took all that feedback and did a great job presenting it again as this is all the options of things we can do. But that
Yes.
doesn't mean that's
We
what-
have to do them all. It's things we can do. We don't have to do them all.
And I think we would be doing a disservice to our residents by not presenting what this is capable of being. And that should be opened up to a public meeting, which is what it should go to get the input. Now, I don't disagree. Looking at it, even as someone who's a resident, that is overwhelming. I think instead of having individual tent sites, I think it should be maybe a whole bubble that says potential tent sites without little itty bitty numbers.
Right.
Because that'll gauge the interest of the public, right? Oh, potential tent sites.
But we have
Well, what does
people
that
ask
mean?
for that. That
We
was.
did,
Well,
yeah.
And in a
and-
way, right, it should be reflected in the plan, but it's not gonna be something that's done in the near term.
No,
That's what we have to.
I don't, again, I think, I just think we need to be careful even ever thinking about a campground with that added people, with the battles that we're facing now with the landowners and
Well, that's the thing, at the public meeting, we were more than likely going to hear from them, and that's okay. And then I think that decides truly the direction that it goes in. And I do feel like we're getting a little bit caught up on like the specifics of there's this many
grand
numbers.
plan.
Again, that's just a potential. That's what we could
Yeah.
potentially have if that's what we so chose to.
Okay.
So maybe Tom does go through, deletes all these little bubbles and just puts tentative campsites, tentative cabin.
You gotta take the roads off.
And I think
you
that's
gotta take the
better
roads
too.
off.
Rather,
And I think we want to be good neighbors to the people that surround Ononda, but the park is the park and it's for the people who don't have that property there. And the boundaries of the park, my guess will change in the next 5 years.
I'm thinking that too.
Ban,
why would you say that?
because I think people are going to sell land.
Yeah, I do too.
So what can we just, on the picture, show the phase 1 road? And then have a list of proposed possible amenities
Mhm.
and just list them all. And then run a survey and do, you get 5 choices. Community, what would you like to see? 10 choices. What would you like to see us expand this potential area into? Do you want to have a bandstand somewhere? Do you want to have tent site camping? Do you want to have additional roads for more upland access? And just see what the community has to come by. But we got to go with the first phase just for accessibility alone.
Can do it, Vance.
Right, no matter, it either stays the way it is, or we build a road. That's the way I look at it. And I think we've done those surveys, Dan, already, and it comes back where, people want more amenities at Ononda. They want, all kinds of stuff. But I don't think it would hurt as we get closer to say, send another survey out and what do you really want?
Yeah, we narrow down a list of here's what's possible.
Right.
So could they, Lindsay, could they rework that map like you're saying and,
Yeah, I already asked Tom to start
So-
working on a phase.
but I really would like to see on especially the existing, it's hard to pick out the existing structures,
So identify that. a
but
little bit.
yeah, and I know it is on that other map, you can't zoom in without,
Sorry, yeah, it's.
but
They're just,
Well, do people agree that I'm not, the existing structures, I mean, they're hard to get to. They're going to be hard to get a road to. I mean, we have to make a decision on those. You know what I mean? Our people aren't walking across the big field to stay in them. They're not doing it now. They probably won't do it 5 years from now.
but I think with that upper road, that first road even, I think that people would be more likely, and you can't drive to the cabins down on
Wait a minute.
Lakeside.
You don't build a road to get to some derelict buildings.
No,
You don't. You build a
But-
road and then you hope to have some compelling buildings right on that road, easily accessible.
No, but I'm saying, what was the one with the new siding?
Oh,
The,
Adsilla,
what,
Adsilla.
I still can't even say it. I think that's a rentable cabin. If you could drive up and maybe you can park up by King Hall now. Now, just look at the outside and now let's spend some money inside. Let's put up a
Right.
top groove pine. Look, I mean, that cabin right there is perfect to redo the inside.
I agree with you.
And I think it's time also, and I think this is a lot of it. If you look at the furniture in the cabins down at Ontario County Park, they're beautiful. They
Yeah.
have nice bunk beds. I don't know. I've been in college dorms that, But-
Actually, I've been in a third world country and have slept on a board with a mat exactly like that.
Well,
And
Well-
it was actually better looking.
but I also
Looking at
think,
that.
those other three cabins, Lindsay, there's only one picture, I think, that shows all three of those.
So they're pretty disgusting.
Those right there, those three cabins are falling, they're rotting into
Look
the
at the
ground.
inside on them.
And in my mind, so that's the area that if, okay, now we have some better accessibility, there's a spot already for 3 new cabins. Pitch those cabins. They're not worth,
So
The-
where are those
but
cabins?
you can't get a road there.
Where are they?
that's the issue. I don't think you can get a road there.
Right now, Karen, they're located here. So you know King Hall, that road that goes to that loop,
Yeah.
they're all the way over here.
So
I think
if
it's down
even
further.
doing the road, those are not going to be accessible.
Unless you brought the road over.
You would redo the road up to the first thing. No, over there.
The lower road. Gotta get the roads names.
Yeah, right there.
McNeil Road.
we're gonna name it something that I can't pronounce.
We could name it Squaw Island.
But I think there's definitely, I think there needs to be 3 or 4 replacement cabins, right? I mean, as an early a phase as possible. Get rid of the one that's falling off its foundation, that's not even safe, like for that one right there, what, Latani?
Latani.
And those 3 need to go.
Mark, when you say replacement in place or find a better place?
Maybe find a better place.
I would
I'm not
find-
saying they have to be in the same
If
spot.
if we can't get to them, I don't know why we would put them in the same spot.
Yeah, I'm with Randy. If wherever we're gonna do with cabins, it's gotta be a short walk with your stuff to the cabin.
Or drivable. I mean, like.
That's what I mean. I mean, ideally, you want to park right in front of the cabin.
So Dave, why do they stay in the cabins lakeside if they can't drive to their cabins lakeside?
I mean, Lindsay, you can address this, but I think they drive down, unload their stuff, and then park their cars.
They shouldn't, but they do.
They
Do they
do.
do
That's
or-
what happens.
Okay,
I can walk to every one of the lakeside cabins.
I don't think it's as bad as we're making it out across that. I went up there and walked over to every one of those
I don't- I
across
have
that
never
ground.
tried
And
that.
I'm not saying it's handicap accessible. I'm not saying, but I
But Mark, take a baby in a stroller and do that.
Yeah.
agree. But maybe that can be accomplished by making that pink road a little bit, easier to manage. I'm not convinced we've exhausted all our other options for accessibility. And suddenly it's got to be this big road that cuts up through the woods.
No, I think that's the only option,
Yeah.
is this location. They've checked all the grades for all.
Yeah,
But again, I agree that if we can get closer, we're gonna have more people use the cabins.
right.
And again, I'm not saying that the three pink dots there where they are,
Well, I think what Randy's saying, I agree with him. I don't want to put new cabins over there where you have to walk that distance. They got to be on a road. Anything new we put in.
so what do we do now where we have to spend money this year on that Latani, don't we, on a replacement?
'Cause we've
We
carried it
can't,
over a
yeah,
couple
it's
years
rolled over in
already.
the budget a couple of years,
Which one's Latani?
that one, right?
Right here.
And I'm
We-
not
that's-
sure that's the best spot for a cabin, right in the
It's not.
middle of that side hill.
I mean, it's a beautiful, it has a gorgeous view.
Yeah.
But you can't get to it easily in either direction.
I just don't, I mean,
But-
I understand the gorgeous view, but if you can't get to it, I just don't see it being
Yeah.
rented. I mean,
What budget year would you see the road going into? Because that's the big ticket.
Next
item.
year.
So can we roll over the Latani money into that project and then use it for building new cabins?
Can we buy the cabin and not put it anywhere? Seriously,
And just carry it over into next year.
we could buy the cabin and
We
it
could
could,
encumber the funds.
We could buy the cabin like in November.
I mean,
And
we could buy it
hope we
in
don't get
December.
it until January.
Even until summer.
Or
and they do
won't,
the
it
road.
won't be installed until the next year.
Yeah, there's nothing to say we can't do that. I mean, especially if we do present this and this plan does end up going forward, starts to get executed. I mean, we're very far out from that. It's not like this happens overnight. I don't know.
so, are we in agreement that we would like MRB to kind of relook at this and make some of those changes and that we don't want to present this to the town board?
I would like to see, again, the camping, the furthest campsite, the tent one. If you want, I would prefer that to say proposed camping.
Future
camping
expansion.
Expansion. Doesn't mean it has to be a road. It could be a walkway
Yes,
around
right.
it.
So we
Um,
prefer to exclude the potential road and
Yes.
parking and just have this area bubbled as
Right.
I would.
potential.
I would, yes.
tent camp.
It doesn't say it is a road, doesn't say it isn't a road, it's just proposed. And down the road, 5 years from now, everybody's like, yeah, we need more campsites, and at that point, if you're crushing it with cabins, those might be cabins up there, if you're crushing it with cabins. And again, the same with those three, where you have clusters of those three brown ones for cabins. I think I would just, again, make one rectangle and say proposed cabin overnight.
Location.
Yeah,
You're saying like a big black rectangle that could encompass 3 cabins, but says proposed sites with no numbers.
because all of a sudden that gets a little overwhelming when you start seeing all these sites.
There's way too much detail.
Yeah,
Yep.
as opposed to just,
For
I
a
mean, I get the
plan that's
detail
going
for
out
us, which
10
is
years.
good. I mean, I understand the detail presenting to us, that's great, but I think looking at it overall and presenting it, to me.
Well,
would be better to-
you know, at a public meeting, someone's going to look at that black square and say, how many?
And that's to be determined, how
But-
they're,
but-
how
but
they
it's-
go.
So,
But it's easier to say we haven't decided than it is to say, how come there's 14 tent sites when
No,
they,
you can say it'll be determined by the
Right.
number of people that are interested.
Depending
in
on
it.
use.
So that way
Right.
you pull them into the mix
Yeah,
and let them know they can either mix it or accept it. You're not presenting it. You don't have the right words.
I can't pronounce any of them.
I don't think there's any way of getting around the roads. I mean.
No,
saying.
The road's the most important thing.
Yeah, if we don't
Dan?
have, that,
Again, the first, the McNeil Road
Yeah.
is fine. I don't know about the other one. I don't know why we go up there. We don't really have other things.
Well, but probably right off
are you talking
that,
about this one?
Well, there is,
Yeah,
there's, so
would
there
that
is
be
the.
phase two, or-
There is the
Oh,
big,
There is the
definitely
current
phase two.
loop
Yeah.
And the current.
But-
cap.
But
I
that
think
also right
public-
there,
I
that
think the
prob-
public will accept Napton Way, that upper road.
but honestly, that probably, in the existing structure of what's there, that the end of phase two road probably serves that open field right there that probably would be, I mean, those three cabins right there are probably, I mean, maybe twisted so you look at the lake instead of look across there, but
Could
that's
have
an
them at-
open grass field now.
Could have them at an angle, so they all have
So-
a view.
yeah, that to me, and if you put a little. Some kind of hard surface across, so, hey, I'm camping, I can pull my wagon off, all my stuff very
Well-
easily.
And maybe that's a question for MRB. What kind of road can we access existing cabins with? Is there a way to put some pathway, crusher run, not very wide, not for a car, but somewhere where you could wheel your crap over there?
I mean, you could from here. We've looked at options for here and there's no way. There's zero way to put any type of ADA accessible
They're just in a bad spot.
road. The grade is too much.
They're just in a really
Yeah.
bad spot.
But if you could park in that, in phase two, that end parking lot, people might tend to walk down to a couple of those cabins there, as opposed to from way over there, in the existing parking lot. No, even go, even,
Go down to the big, yeah.
I mean, that across there is
So my thing would be to never, ever do anything with those cabins that you can't access. Except for get rid of them.
That's right.
see, I disagree. I think I think people will use those other,
Do they use them
Within-
now?
Only when they have big groups. It's not like someone just runs.
Somebody's
them.
not really
You
hungry
know,
for those
Karen?
cabins.
Haven't come across someone yet.
Can we turn them into tent sites one at a time, or as they,
So maybe you should just
Become
take the walls
ex-campers.
out and make them all pavilions
Stand there.
yeah, grandstand, or even just platforms.
Yeah.
or
Tents.
platforms, right?
Yeah.
If they're in good shape, obviously it doesn't make sense just to tear it
Or
out.
with
They're
the
in good shape.
grade, make
But
that a
if they're
bandstand.
not. If they're not in good shape, I would just be like.
I mean, another thing too, what we haven't really looked at yet is if we really dislike this whole area over here, we could always stop phase two here. It would still provide you access to the current pavilion. While giving you options to still add just a couple, cabins, tent sites too,
Yeah.
without being intrusive on the space. I mean, these cabins are going away anyway, so you can't even
Right.
include them.
but
in
that
it.
is a nice spot to put. It's an
It's
open
flat,
area,
very
it's
So
flat,
why not make
it's,
that the
Right.
tent, the few tent sites? I mean, it's a great flat area, but it's not much privacy.
Right.
It's not like it would just, you're in a little wooded area, it's an open space. Maybe it could be an RV pad. Maybe we have one RV.
Oh
Are we
my
just gonna
God.
throw this one out
Oh,
there?
no.
You can't do an RV.
I mean, we have an access road, good.
That's not the point. I mean,
Don't discriminate against RV owners.
so, I don't want to take much more time. We've been here over an hour. Do you think you have enough to get another picture from MRB and for us to,
See what we're comfortable with.
yeah,
Just a reminder, once he presents this one, it does cost a lot of money for them to rework. And they are at a very high rate. That's why I just
Lindsay,
want to make sure I have all
I-
the details of what I'm presenting or.
I honestly didn't feel like they listened to us at the last meeting. I thought they came in, here's the plan. And as we talked things through, it was like, here's the plan. That was my, and Stephanie, I talked to her, she kind of had the same sense. I don't know if that was just me but
Well, I have to keep reminding myself that this came out of, this plan that they presented to us came out of that large,
The large.
large
Like a lot,
attended
yeah.
I
meeting.
agree.
But who was at that meeting?
The landowners.
The landowners. And they didn't really
There
participate. Some of
were,
them
you
left.
know, There were a couple of
ECB
townspeople
members.
there. I can't remember who it was, but
Well, Sarah Linda was there to present something else.
yeah.
And some of the monies, they left before we did this part of the meeting, after we talked about the border. So the people that were left when we had that discussion wasn't much more than us.
You see, Mark, I disagree. I think they put everything we mentioned on that piece of paper that we're looking at. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't necessarily prioritized, but everything they heard, they put in.
Yeah,
Again, it was a,
Yeah.
wish li- it was, this was the
Yeah.
wish
Wish
list
list.
of everything we could do.
I do remember
Well,
them presenting it that way.
it-
A
but-
wish list.
well, now we're seeing it. Now we're seeing how it's
Yeah.
played out and made it.
And-
Right, now it's time
But
to,
none of this is in the Parks and Rec master plan.
as far as adding,
It's
well,
not-
updating
in-
the,
up-
updating the cabins was.
accessibility, It's mentioned,
Right.
I looked it up.
And updating the cabins is in there too.
And accessibility,
Right,
but not expanding it to,
Right.
to this. degree.
Accessibility, there's only one way to make this more accessible, and that's by those roads. Right?
Mhm.
I mean, that's what MRB has said, that's, the grade is needed, that's the grade that we need to be able to put a road in. You can't do it any other way. With the road, with the grade, and with all utilities and septics and everything else that it goes along with it.
So I'm thinking we want to go to here. Or here. And exclude this, but have that little bubble for potential, like if there is a need, a
Future
future
potential, yeah.
plan. I also like everyone's idea of taking out these and having a more generic potential
Yeah.
tent/campsite
10/cabins, yeah.
for these few areas versus having this overwhelming amount of information.
would you ask MRB if they have any to cut that kind of up
That
behind, maybe uphill a little bit and that road?
From there to the old cabins.
Is there any way to make,
Oh, like to here.
right, is there any way to finagle something to cut up into the woods just for the first road? And then maybe instead of having it be a separate road up there, is there any way to,
To loop.
is there any way to
across.
finagle that across the side hill?
I will ask.
Yeah.
But I don't think so. 'cause
Right.
We did ask.
Right.
Already. But I could have them relook at all the grades and everything.
So other thoughts, other things that we have to,
Well, I think we're good with what, I mean. I think we're good with what we want MRB to come back with us with, to see if that's something more. I mean, we're not saying no to those tent sites. We're just saying possible future tent camping area. Doesn't mean there's gonna be a road there, doesn't mean there isn't gonna be a road there. It'll be in 5
doesn't-
years, it'll be, well, what do you think now? Maybe
It
there's.
doesn't necessarily have to surround the campsite. I would look at that as perhaps a accessible, semi-accessible trail.
a stone dust walk trail.
Exactly, a walking trail. I actually, I would object to having a road going around that. I think that's too much. And I think it's just inviting trouble.
Destructive.
I mean, I like the future, possible future. And that's, again, it's 5, 7, 10 years down the road, all of a sudden it's like, hey, we want to do that now. I mean, because obviously this is not an inexpensive project. we're discussing.
Well, no one on the town board has said yes to any of it yet.
Oh, I know.
so.
But even presenting it is not an inexpensive project.
Correct. And even presenting, I mean, we could come across things that we weren't expecting either.
Yeah.
You know, when MRB gives us the number, it might be like, oh, no.
Yeah.
And we would have to come back and figure out what we want to cut out, what's priority, what we need to prioritize. And our residents might have different thoughts and feelings too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like we're gonna continue to spin our wheels. So I will have MRB draft something similar, but just with some of our, some of
Something
the
Some more-
simpler.
something simple.
And more, yeah, more generic. like,
This is
In
yeah,
this area, in this
Yep.
area. in
way
this
too
area.
much detail to present.
In a
No, it really
phased-
is.
It is.
It's way too much
A
detail
phased
to present
approach.
to the public.
Phased approach.
I think that would be received a lot better.
Mhm.
I feel we're a little bit more content talking through it.
Yeah.
And removing some of the obstacles.
I want to thank all of you for tolerating me. So
You're fine.
even you, Dave.
Are you really retiring?
Daryl Talley Day.
How old are you?
54, I'll be 55 in
Oh,
July.
yeah, my daughter's looking forward to retiring from
Yep,
teaching.
yep. 55 school
And then
days
what are you
left.
gonna do?
Wow. Whatever he
Find
wants.
something. I'm gonna get a job with MRB.
As well.
So I just want to remind everyone, you know, we have this Perks in the Parks thing coming up on what, June 4th?
My niece's wedding.
Oh, God, June 4th from 10 to 4. It's a partnership with city and town to present all of our parks to the public.
What time is this, Karen?
So
10 to 4.
10 to 4.
10 to 4, 10 to 2.
Well, I know
No,
I'm,
it says 10 to 4, last I heard. But the,
So are we good here?
yeah,
Although I did
Um,
have one quick item, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, and again, maybe we could, is Dave, are you still with us?
I am.
So, we talked, and I don't want to do a whole lot of business stuff because this isn't an official
Yeah.
parks meeting. But, the property sign, can we get that ordered? And then people volunteered at the last meeting. They said that we could help Lindsay out maybe a Saturday morning or a late afternoon to go up and walk the border.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. Lindsay, are you planning on putting like a plywood back on those?
I haven't thought about that.
Most posted signs have a backer that, I mean, we're gonna nail them to trees, correct?
Scroll.
So they'll last longer. They'll be more visible if we put them on, just cut, like I'm sure Jim's got a bunch of just scrap wood around and we can just put them on that.
Those are plastic, heavy gauge plastic.
Nope, I like that.
Perfect.
Yeah,
I'll
perfect.
order them tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, and you said you had something else?
I just had one quick thing, just wanted to run it past the committee, so. The Cheshire Community Action Team reached out to me about wanting to have an open mic night, or open mic, not night, at Pierce Park. To bring more community engagement, kind of an open event to the public. And I personally think that's a great idea, because Pierce
Go
is
for it.
super
Yeah.
underutilized, we don't have to
Absolutely.
do anything
Absolutely.
except. The town
See, if,
just holding an event.
yeah,
But the reason I'm bringing it up is because in our parks town code, it says that there are no amplifying devices to be used in any of our town parks. But here's the thing, if it's the town event sponsored by an entity such as this, we can do it.
it doesn't say without approval by in the town code.
Me and Jean read through it and
Okay,
it.
I thought we had,
It didn't,
Okay.
but I just wanted to run it past the committee to see if we support something like this. It would not require anything from us. But I,
So by us supporting it, we can get around that amplifier.
we're not liable, are we?
we're always liars.
well, we had, didn't they show a movie at Outhouse Park? What was the store on Main Street, or
You had to have had an amplifier for,
didn't
They did-
they?
well, that's what I'm saying, like. we
they
have
amplified
bands,
their
when
sound.
we do stuff, we have
That's right.
bands, we
Yeah.
have movies, so like a town sponsored event is fine.
Yeah.
I feel like the Cheshire community would really enjoy something like that. at the park.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to
Yeah.
make sure those supported.
Yep. Absolutely.
Excellent.
Open mic, like stand-up comics or open
Well,
mic?
I
like-
guess like just some
No, open mic is
local, like
music.
really
Well,
local artists.
There's a guy,
playing.
so like, they're all over the city of Rochester, and the Peacemaker Brewer has one every Tuesday night. It's open mic night. You come in, you sign your name on a sheet. When it's your turn, you play 3 songs, you recite poetry, you tell a joke, whatever you want to do, you sign your name, you get to do
I
whatever.
think it would
They
be
have some
awesome.
really good, acts going there.
Bruin Brats has it every Friday night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then also.
But
that would
they
bring
have
business
someone
to
that
Cheshire,
manages it,
a
so
you have to
sign
have
up with them.
a-
You have to have an MC.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Someone-
they had.
Somebody comes in, brings the equipment, and then,
And I don't think it would conflict with any of our
No.
music nights. I mean, Chester's so far out from
Absolutely.
here.
Yeah.
what are they doing on?
Well, they're definitely doing it for the Perks of the Park Day. They're gonna sponsor Pierce Park for that. And then they have just a handful of dates over summer they would like to do. And I was like,
It would be nice if they didn't do the 2 Wednesdays that we
I
did.
don't believe they're looking at Wednesdays, it's
Okay.
more weekends.
Okay,
So they would rent a pavilion and just kind
Yeah,
of give it
yeah,
there. I mean,
yep.
Okay.
How about not even the same week we're doing a concert? You know what I mean? Like I'd hate to have that on Wednesday night and us doing Thursday night, or them doing Tuesday night and then us doing a Wednesday night. You know what I mean?
Would you be opposed if it was on a weekend versus a weekday? Like say it was the same week, but they had theirs on a weekend?
I just don't want it to be too loud.
You're not gonna hear it in Melchester.
I might hear it.
Then you
I guess I'd like to have it a different week. Like we're going to be competing with Granger Homestead. They're doing a concert series as well. We don't conflict on any of the dates, but that doesn't mean it's not the same week. I mean, I couldn't get that out of Martha, what it was, what their dates were.
Helpful.
I don't think it'll be a problem.
I don't either because I mean, people who
It's
are gonna go to
Cheshire.
Pierce Park, it's gonna be Cheshire
Cheshire.
versus other places, but I'll find out and I didn't see that there was any conflict when I was looking at what they gave me, but if there is.
If they could try to avoid
Yeah,
it, would be
That's
appreciated.
fine, yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Very good.
All right.
Well, thank you all. Love
you.
seeing your
Thank you.
faces.
you.
Bye, Dave. Thank you.
Meeting
Later.
later.